Guys, and welcome to this video. So this is the first time I am sitting down to film an actual video that isn't pre-filmed since I had my baby boy. So today's video I am going to be doing my birth story, and I am titling this my birth story failed epidural natural labor, and I am titling it that for a good reason. First, before I begin, I just want to say ignore the blankets behind me. I am still pretty tender in the downstairs area, so I am super comfy sitting here with all of our blankets. I'm titling this video my birth story failed epidural natural labor, and I just want to specify before I begin, I did not start out having a natural labor. My labor was very different, very unique. So what had happened is I had fully went in wanting an epidural, and I did get an epidural, but towards the end the epidural basically wore off, and I basically had my baby cold turkey with Pitocin type contractions, which were very painful. So I just wanted to put that at the beginning of this video. If you guys had a complete 100% natural labor, cool for you guys. I did not plan on that. I did not want that. I went in with the full thought of getting a full epidural and having it work. So my birth story is definitely very crazy. A lot of stuff happened. It's a little bit of a long story.
So make sure you guys go grab a drink because y'all gonna need one.
I am drinking Coke today, and I am not sponsored. This was purely an accident.
Oh yeah.
So if I look this direction, it's because my baby's in the Mamaroo swing and I'm just checking on him. Just so you guys know, before I start this video, there is going to be some TMI. So if you're a family member and you weren't there during the delivery or anything like that, or you just don't want to know any TMI details, then you may want to click off this video. So if you guys have been following my channel and following my pregnancy, you guys know that at about 31 weeks, almost 32 weeks, I started having preterm labor. So I was having all kinds of contractions, and they were regular, they were strong, like getting stronger, and I had to get on medicine to stop the contractions. So I got on that medicine clear until 36 weeks. 36 weeks, my specialist had said, it's okay to get off the medicine, and what happens, happens, and it's fine. So I got off the medicine and my contractions like totally stopped. I had more contractions on the medication than I did off. So I went a few more weeks. So I went 36, 37, 38, and then at 39 weeks, I started having labor stuff actually happen and begin. So my due date was May 18th. So on Monday, I went to my specialist appointment, came home, and I had bloody show. And it's crazy because every time you go to the bathroom when you're pregnant, you're scared to see blood. But when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's crazy. So I called my family and I let them know, and they hopped in a car and they got down here. And I'm so glad they did. I was telling them, I was like, no, it could be a few days, don't worry about it, don't come. And so I had that happen and my family came down. The next day, which was Tuesday, I had lost completely my mucus plug. And on Thursday, I was going to be induced. So I was going to be induced the 16th because my doctor had been out of town, was going out of town for 2 weeks. She wanted me to wait until I was 42 or so weeks to induce, which is just crazy for me. And I'm so glad that things started happening naturally and it didn't come to full on being induced. So I met up with my family. We went out to lunch first, and I could tell that like this was probably gonna be it. So we went to the hospital, and when we got to the hospital, the minute they put me on the machine, the baby's heartbeat went down, and I think they called it a decel. And they put me on my right side. Apparently baby did not like me laying on my left side, which is crazy because the left side is supposed to be better and healthier for you to lay on. So they hooked me up to the machines. they saw that my blood pressure was kind of going crazy. His heart was kind of upset. Baby was kind of upset. They put me on some oxygen. So the doctor came in. He was a doctor I had during all of the preterm labor hospital visits. I had to go twice. And he's a great doctor. And he checked and he said that I was 1.5 centimeters. And he didn't like how the baby was upset, and he didn't like how my blood pressure was crazy. So therefore they decided to keep me. After that happened, I went into the labor area, and everything was just like so surreal. It was like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. It's finally time. And at this point I was 39 weeks and 3 days. So they put Cervidil inside. It was like the tampon kind. So they inserted that. That did not feel good. Not gonna lie, that did not feel good. So they inserted that and they left that in for 12 hours. So I filled out the rest of the paperwork. We had already pre-registered and everything, so it was really swiftly to go from the triage just into labor and delivery. So we sat there for 12 hours. Luckily it was through the night. And it was just to help soften my cervix and help it start to dilate more, since I was already dilating. They thought that this was very important because of baby being upset and my blood pressure going kind of crazy. So after that, actually during the night, my contractions started to get worse and worse and worse, where I actually was given morphine, I think 2 or 3 times during the night. My pain level never got above a 5. I was very, very honest about how much pain I was in.
And that's a good thing.
So they did that, got morphine, and then in the morning they took the Cervidil out and they checked me, and I think I was like at a 2 centimeters. And so we waited a little bit. We had to wait an hour before they could start Pitocin. And in that hour, I had went from a 3 centimeters, I think, to what the nurse thought was a 4 centimeters. So there was a little confusion there. So the nurse I had all night checked me and she said that I was a 4, when the actual
sub doctor came in because my doctor was out of town. Not a fan of her anyway. Not a fan of the sub doctor either, I have to say.
When she came in, she thought I was a 3 centimeters. Anyway, so at a 4 centimeters, they gave me my epidural. Let me just say, the epidural for me, I don't know about anybody else, was the easiest thing in the world.
Stubbing my toe hurt worse. I'm not gonna lie, like, stubbing my toe hurt worse than getting the epidural.
The nurse kind of held me and my husband held me, and I kind of had my head down like this, and I felt a funny sensation down my left leg, and that was it. And it was the coolest feeling to kind of be numb from the waist down. Felt really cool because I have been having a ton of relaxant in my body throughout this whole entire pregnancy, causing a lot of pain. So it was really nice to be freed from that too. Anyway, after that, they had started the Pitocin, and just all through the day I was progressing. I would say at a fine rate. This is Wednesday morning on, so Wednesday morning I got the epidural, and then kind of throughout the day I was progressing. Kind of later in the day, baby started getting upset again, and I had to lay on my right side. Now, when I would lay on my right side, I could feel the epidural kind of all go to the right side, and the left side of my body was left where I could feel all the contractions. So I kept asking them if I could like turn. They would only let me turn for a few minutes, and then baby didn't like it, so I had to stay on my right side a lot. They used a peanut ball. They did like all these crazy things, and I was progressing. They kept checking me. That's when the actual doctor came in, and she said she agreed that I was a 3 instead of a 4, and then I just continued to dilate from there, which was really good. So I rested in between times. I slept a lot. Because I knew that pushing would probably take a lot of energy, so I did that. And then when stuff started happening, it's a little TMI, it was a very traumatic event for me. So the doctor came in and they said we're gonna put in an internal monitor. So I guess this is a monitor that they put on the baby's head. In my mind at the time, I was thinking, okay, they're putting in like these like huge box internal monitors. I think that there's only one type of internal monitor, and that's the one that goes on her head. Let me know down below, is there more than one internal fetal monitor? Let me know. Anyway, they put that in, and then they said that I could start pushing, that I was there. So this was about maybe 6:30, 7-ish, I don't know, probably about 6:30. And so I started pushing. My epidural was 100% in. I had them give me a boost like twice during the day, and I asked them, I had a continuous drip. I asked them, and I was like, will I be able to get more? And they're like, oh yes, we'll give you more, don't worry about it, you're not going to be doing this cold turkey, you're going to be fine. That's not true. Anyway, so they said I could start pushing. So I pushed for about 20-30 minutes, just kind of getting the baby down where he's supposed to be. And all I felt was pressure. Didn't feel any pain. It was amazing. I didn't squeak. I didn't make a noise. Like, everything was going great. Then the nurse was like, okay, we got to take the internal monitor out because she's starting to tear. I don't know where I tore with that at all. With the internal monitor, obviously I wasn't able to see anything. There was too much going on for other people to tell me what was going on. So I continued to push. So I did that for about 30 minutes. Then they had a nurse change. And during that nurse change is when the epidural wore off. And it wore off. I could feel everything. Everything. Like, everything. Like, I could feel people touching my legs. I could feel what was going on down there. It was not fun. So I continued to push with this new nurse. They did all these kind of weird things to kind of get me to push. Like, she had a towel on one end and I had the towel and I was pulling. That did not go so well. Anyway, I was screaming in pain. I was crying. It was very, very painful. I kept begging for epidural, for more. They wouldn't give me more. It wasn't a matter of it being too late because I had already had the epidural and they could have given me more at any time. My grandma talked to the doctor or whatever, and the doctor said, she's a sub doctor. She said, well, I just want her to go natural, whatever, because she won't have the will to push if she doesn't. That kind of attitude where she could have given me more and I would have done better, but she didn't, so therefore it almost ended in a C-section because of it. I was screaming for a C-section. That's how much pain I was in. Anyway, they had explained that my baby was coming sunny side up and his nose was stuck, so we were trying to get him to turn. So they slowed down labor, put me on my right side, and tried to slow labor down. I think they gave me a little bit of morphine, which didn't even touch the pain. It didn't touch the pain at all. The pain was severe. They laid me on my side and they left me there for about 30 minutes. And that's when I was begging for a C-section. And the nurse had told me that's where it's going if he doesn't turn. At this time, he was halfway in the birth canal, just like halfway in there. So a C-section would have been very, very not good, you know. So at about 15 minutes, I told him to get in here, that I needed to push. I had a feeling like he turned. And then they got in here and I just gave it everything I had. I pushed so hard. I felt the ring of fire. The ring of fire is 100% real. And my doctor didn't let me wait in between, so my tissue had time to stretch. So therefore, baby came out and I have a nice 2nd degree tear from it. At least it wasn't a 3rd or 4th, so I'm not complaining, but it has been a rocky recovery. I will go over my postpartum recovery in the next video, which is my life chat. That's labor and postpartum tips and my update, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Earlier, he had pooed inside of me when they broke my water to get things going. But luckily when he came out, he only had poo like on his legs. He didn't have any near his face. So anyway, when he came out, the NICU checked him right away. I was able to hold him for a second, and then they went and checked him, and he was okayed by the NICU like a second later. It was amazing. I felt everything tear down there. It was very, very traumatic event for me, honestly. I kept telling people, like, I'm not having any more kids after that. Of course, it may change in the future. We'll see. But it was just a very terrifying event, but it was so worth it because I love him so much. He is such a sweetie. He's such a sweetie. Luckily, during the whole pushing process, baby was healthy and fine, and his heart wasn't acting up or anything. And he did turn in the right position or whatever to come out, which was great. So after baby was out and okayed by the NICU, they were stitching me up, and she was like, "Can you feel that?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I've been telling you for like the past 2 hours." That took 2 hours or so of pushing to get him out. And I was like, "Yeah, I've been telling you guys from the start, I can feel it." Then we moved, well, then they did the pushing on my stomach, and we did skin to skin, which was really, really a good time. Not the pushing on the stomach, that does hurt. But the skin to skin was great. And then they moved me to the postpartum area. So I will go and tell you guys a little bit about the postpartum thing. So she asked me if I was still numb, and I was only numb on the sides of my legs, not anywhere in that region. And I later found out that's due to swelling, not the epidural, because I had had that for days, and I still had that when I came home. So I felt everything. They took the catheter out. It just felt like a pinch. When they put it in, didn't feel it because epidural was in. And then in the postpartum area, the first time I went to the bathroom with the nurse and my husband, I full on fainted. Like, I fainted really bad. Luckily, my husband caught me. I don't handle blood and stitches and things like that. This is the first time I've ever had stitches. I don't handle stuff like that very well. So it was very terrifying for me. Time went on. I just kind of laid in bed and rested. I was on Percocet, and I think ibuprofen. They gave me a stool softener. Baby was doing fine. He latched right away for breastfeeding, but he would have like 45-minute attempts at trying to get milk, and he couldn't, which was really sad. So he would spend like 45 minutes and he'd only get like a drop. So then he kind of started giving up. He wasn't peeing or pooing, so we had to give him formula. And when I got home, I talked to lactation consultants. I did everything I could to make breastfeeding possible, but with my gene mutation and my other issue I have going on, I just wasn't able to breastfeed. So my body produces the milk, it just won't come out. I felt pretty defeated after finding out that I couldn't really breastfeed. All my life I never really wanted to, but the minute I got him in my arms, I did. So that was pretty upsetting. We had a lactation consultant come in at the hospital and talk to me, and we tried to do the shield and just all these different things, and it just wasn't happening. So I stayed in a hospital for 3 days. The first day was the stay with the Cervidil, and then I had 2 more nights or whatever in the hospital where they were observing me. So the other issue that I was talking about that I had going on, I found out after I had left the hospital. So on that Saturday, which was my due date, I left the hospital with baby, husband, and my mother-in-law was there. She was there during the whole experience. My grandma was there, my niece was there, my uncle was in the waiting room. So the day I left, I was really, really like nauseous and sick and just feeling awful. And I just wanted to leave the hospital, and they said I could, and that baby could because he had a poo. They forced a poo out of him with formula. Anyway, we got home, and a few days later I started feeling like I was getting a UTI. This was 6 days postpartum. And so I called my OB. She was still out of town, so I was seeing the first OB from the beginning of our pregnancy. I saw one OB, and then at the end of the pregnancy I saw another one. And so I saw the one from the beginning. And she looked at my area down there, and she had told me that my stitches were gone and that they had ripped, and that I was just basically hanging out, and that she was gonna have to stitch me up the next day, or I'd have to go to an OR to get stitched up. Talk about traumatic event that could happen. It was totally traumatizing. So I came home, was really, really upset, didn't know what to think or how to feel or what to do. So a few days later, a week later or whatever, so for a week I had thought that I was like hanging out, you know, like that I wasn't stitched together or anything. But when I saw my actual real doctor when she got back in town, she explained that I am stitched up. The stitches are there, they're loose, they were falling out, like I'm healing, things are great. And the other doctor was just an idiot and didn't know what she was talking about. So I was dealing with all of that, trying to figure out why breastfeeding wasn't working. I was only a few days postpartum. It was very scary. And then during that visit where the doctor was telling me that my stitches weren't there and everything, she took blood work and we found out that I'm severely anemic. So I have postpartum anemia, really bad. So that's not fun either. Other than that though, things have been going pretty well after I saw my last doctor. The last appointment with my doctor who's back in town now. I've just been healing. Baby is fully on formula now because the breastfeeding just wasn't working. With the anemia and my gene mutation, it just wasn't working. So he's doing great on formula. Nothing has happened up here, literally. Like it leaked like a little bit, like whatever. And then as for down here, things are like healing up. I'm almost 4 weeks postpartum as I film this video. So things are getting better. Make sure you refer to the other video for my postpartum update. And then also the postpartum anemia, I saw my actual doctor, my like general practitioner doctor. He wasn't there, but it was another doctor in the practice, because I was having really bad vertigo and I didn't know if it was caused by the anemia or what. We found out it was just my ear acting up. And so we got that taken care of, and then he ordered new blood work to kind of see where I'm at with the anemia, because my OB has said, you're a number 28 and at 25 we do blood transfusions. And that my two options were to take constipating iron like a ton of times a week, or to do iron infusion or IV drips. So my general practitioner called in an iron for me that's non-constipating, so I've been taking that. So hopefully it's good. But yeah, that is pretty much my birth story and kind of a little bit when we got home. I'm so grateful for baby boy though. I'm glad he's healthy and well. I'm just so blessed that he's well and doing great. And I feel like now I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I gotta not overdo it because yesterday I overdid it a bit. And today I haven't felt as good because of it. But he's doing really well and it's super exciting. So I will insert some clips of baby, and yeah, so that is pretty much my birth story. I didn't go natural through the entire process, only at the end when the pushing was happening. But that's why I titled the video as I did, because I feel like the epidural kind of failed me at the end. But honestly, it probably wasn't the epidural, it was the doctor's. But that is my birth story. If you guys have any other videos that you guys want me to film, I'm going to film that live chat video I was telling you about, and then I'm also going to do a vlog that's what I used in my hospital bag. But other than these 3 videos, I wasn't going to film any more like pregnancy, birth type of videos. I do weekly vlogs, so make sure you check out those where you can see baby all the time. And that is pretty much my birth story. And if you guys have any requests for any new videos, let me know down below. And I guess I will see you guys in the next video soon. Bye!